Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. My name is Justin, and today we're going to talk about the C8 Z06 and how it's going to be influenced by the C8.R. Alright guys, so before we get too much into the C8.R Z06 discussion, I wanted to talk about the situation with the strike at GM. It was just discussed yesterday that the UAW being on strike is in fact going to disrupt the C8 Corvette production. This of course means that any of you out there looking to get your C8 as soon as possible may be waiting a little extra bit of time. I'm personally hoping it's not too long because I can't wait to get my hands on this car. But as you guys know, these situations are sensitive and they can't necessarily be rushed. A person very familiar with the operations at the Bowling Green assembly plant said, quote unquote, "I know for a fact that this strike is going to directly affect the start of the regular production for the mid-engine Corvette." The person that stated this was not actually named, but it was quoted multiple times in multiple articles about this particular strike. The Detroit Free Press reports that GM's Bowling Green, Kentucky factory still hasn't completed the production of the current front-engine Corvette. Once the C7 Corvette production wraps up, GM would then shut down the Bowling Green assembly ahead of retooling, since production on the C8 is slated for late 2019. The odds of that schedule holding true continue to shrink, though, as the strike drags on. Yesterday marks the start of the 4th week of the GM UAW strike. Aside from C8 Corvette production, the labor action is hurting GM in multiple other ways. According to the Free Press, the company idled 415 workers at its Mexico facility. That factory builds engines along with the Chevrolet Blazer and Equinox. Last week, the company idled the Mexican facility responsible for the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra. As you can see, the strike is affecting GM a lot more than most people know. I've recently read reports that GM is not producing any new cars at this time, so this is obviously not just limited to the C8 Corvettes. I'm really hoping everybody can come to an agreement that's beneficial for both sides. Alright, so moving on to the C8.R details to hopefully be shared with the C8 Z06. As you guys already know, the C7 Z06 borrowed a lot of its design from the C7.R, and some of the rumors have been kicked around for a while now saying that the same thing was going to happen with the C8 Z06. The C8 Stingray is already an extremely attractive car, but adding some more track-focused details from the C8.R just completely take it to another level. The C8 Z06 is likely going to be an insane looking and performing car, but here is what would really take the C8 Z06 over the edge. These are going to be the 5 features that will be borrowed from the C8.R and make the C8 Corvette Z06 look amazing and perform like a track monster. Number 1 is going to be the more aggressive front bumper. Of course, that includes the dive planes or canards on the front bumper, which look unbelievably cool, while also adding downforce. These dive planes are usually only included on extreme track variants, so it's more likely we'd see that with the Z07 track package. Nothing says track ready more than some front canards and wide openings in the front bumper. The C7 ZR1 had a very similar look with the wide open front bumper, and while it was extremely functional for keeping the car cool, it just looked like an aggressive machine. The difference in aero from the C7 Z06 to the C7 Z07 packaged Z06 was mostly for track use, but it also looked amazing as well. With the C8 Z06, of course, we're going to get all of the same things we've gotten with Z06s in the past, and that is likely a wider body, wider tires, more aero, and more power. It all starts with that front bumper. Number 2 is going to be the mid-engine air intake, or scoop. This being mounted directly over the rumored 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8 behind the C8.R's rear window is not only one of the coolest design elements, pun intended, for the appearance, but since it's functional, it would absolutely help with performance. This is one of those things that a lot of high-end supercars are doing as well, so it helps the Z06 fit right into that category and find its home in the supercar territory. The base C8 is already right there, and with the bump in horsepower and the extra aerodynamics, it would literally be able to hang with the most super of supercars. There's no better way to make sure you're getting the absolute most cool air possible than having the engine actually pull it from outside of the engine bay. For this particular design, the scoop will actually be grabbing air as it's coming over the roof of the car, and it ensures, like I said, you're not pulling superheated air from within the engine bay. Plus, it looks awesome. Number 3 is going to be the fender vents behind the front wheels. One of the coolest looking things on the C8R are the vents built into the fenders behind the front tires. This isn't just necessarily for show either. They also relieve built-up air pressure from inside the wheel arches, which reduces aerodynamic lift. Most of the goodies being added to the C8R are for aerodynamics, and this is no exception. The C7 Z06 with the Z07 package was all about aero as well, with the stage 3 front lip and the rear spoiler creating over 400 pounds of downforce at speed. The C8 Z06 stands to be an amazing car with some pretty special aerodynamic designs. There are still rumors out there suggesting that at least one of the C8 Corvette models are going to get a lot of active aero of some kind, so we may just see some of that in the C8 Z06 as well, but even without that, even with just static aerodynamics, the car is going to be freaking awesome. The C7 Z06, like I said, created 400 pounds of downforce with the Stage 3 kit. The C8 Z06 has potential to create much more than that with all of the aero kit that is likely to be added to this car. Number 4 is going to be the wing. Of course, we cannot talk about the C8R and not discuss that wing. Like I said, aero is the name of the game when talking about track times, and the Z06 is likely to mirror a lot of the C8R's aero bits to maintain a higher level of performance at the track for the end user as well. The massive wing on the ZTK package C7ZR1 provided almost 1,000 pounds of downforce, and this one on the C8R looks like it's ready to do the same or even more. This wing could be a huge benefit on the track, and for anyone looking to take their C8 Z06 out on the road course, a large wing like this would be your best friend. Not only that, like I've said for all of these items, it also looks amazing. The way that the wing is styled on that C8R is definitely awesome, and seeing that on a street car would be amazing. And lastly, number 5 is going to be the engine. Of course, we don't know anything officially from GM about the engine in the C8R, but there's been a lot of rumors suggesting that it's going to be a 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8. And based on some recent exhaust clips, it's likely very true. Now, with the C8 Z06, GM isn't limited to any kind of racing rules, and can definitely beef up the engine even more. Current rumors suggest one of 2 possible engines for this C8 Z06, and both of them heavily resemble the engine that is likely in this C8R. The first option is a naturally aspirated 5.5 liter flat plane crank engine, just like the one that the C8R is likely to get, and the second option is the exact same engine with a twin turbo setup instead. Both of these rumors have been talked about multiple times on multiple different forums and found in a few different quote-unquote leaks, and honestly, I'd be okay with either option. There's been a lot of rumors about the Z06 for the 8th generation Corvette. All of them point back to a flat plane crank 5.5 liter engine and a whole bunch of aerodynamic goodies. I personally think that the C8R is our glimpse at the future for what the Z06 is going to look like, just because of the past setup with GM. The Z06 borrows a lot of design elements from the C7R. Odds are good they're going to do it with the C8R as well. And that is totally fine by me because the C8R is a beautiful car. Now, of course, the C8 Z06 would not necessarily be an exact copy of the C8R because there are plenty of things on that car that are not going to be so street legal, and a lot of them would not offer very good daily drivability. One of them right off the top of my head would be the rear diffuser. That thing hangs so low to the ground and it's so massive that it's very unlikely you would be able to even get in and out of your driveway with that thing, let alone actually drive down the street. Now, yes, it does look awesome. I probably would try my best to make it work anyway, but it's not going to work in most people's situations. We probably will get a more aggressive rear diffuser on the C8 Z06, but it's not going to quite be that aggressive. Now, there's plenty of other things on the C8R that aren't going to make it to the Z06 as well, such as center lock wheels or the multiple LEDs at the bottom for night driving, or of course drag radials, that kind of thing. So basically, like I said, it's not going to be a carbon copy, but if the Z06 comes out and has the overall appearance of the C8R, it's definitely a win. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. What do you guys think of the C8R? Would you be pretty happy with the C8 Z06 mimicking its appearance and performance options? Let me know down below. If you liked what you saw today, give me a thumbs up, and if you have any questions about anything you've seen on this channel, leave them in the comments section down below, or send me an email at horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't yet. I have a lot of great C7 and C8 content coming that you aren't going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next upload.